Welcome back to ThinkSmartMedia-Ph. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey back in time to explore the wonders of ancient China. I promise you, some of these facts are so incredible, they sound like they're straight out of a fantasy novel. And you absolutely have to stay until the end, because the last fact is a real showstopper that will completely change how you see history. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's dive in. Let's kick things off with a monumental structure you've all heard of, the Great Wall of China. We all picture this ancient, continuous wall stretching across the horizon. But here's a twist. The Great Wall isn't a single, unbroken line. It's actually a massive network of walls, fortresses, and watchtowers built over centuries. While its total length is an astonishing 21,000 kilometers. Most of the iconic stone sections we see in photos today were constructed during the Ming Dynasty, from the 14th to the 17th century. Earlier versions were often made of rammed earth and were less about keeping out massive armies and more about controlling trade and migration along the Silk Road. So, the wall you imagine is really the modern version of a much older, more complex system. Now, think about the device you're watching this on, or the books on your shelf. None of it would be possible without paper. And where did it come from? You guessed it, ancient China. Around 105 AD, a court official named C.Y. Lun is credited with perfecting the paper-making process. He mixed mulberry bark, hemp, and old rags with water, mashed it into a pulp, and pressed out the liquid to create a thin, matted sheet. This invention was a game-changer. It was cheaper and more convenient than bamboo, wood, or silk, and it revolutionized how information was recorded and shared, paving the way for the spread of knowledge and literature across the globe. Let's move from the tangible to the philosophical. Have you ever seen the black and white symbol with the two swirling halves? That's the yin and yang. This concept is one of the cornerstones of ancient Chinese philosophy. It represents the idea that the universe is governed by a balance of opposing but interconnected forces. Yin is the passive, dark, feminine energy, while yang is the active, bright, masculine energy. Nothing is ever purely one or the other. They flow into each other, like night turning into day. This beautiful idea wasn't just abstract philosophy. It influenced everything from medicine and martial arts to art and architecture, creating a worldview centered on harmony and balance. From philosophy to fashion, let's talk about a fabric so luxurious it was worth its weight in gold. Silk. The secret of silk production, or sericulture, began in China as early as 3000 BC. According to legend, it was discovered by Empress Lezu when a silkworm cocoon fell into her tea and unraveled into a long, shimmering thread. For centuries, the method of harvesting silk from silkworms was one of the most jealously guarded secrets in history. Anyone caught smuggling silkworm eggs or mulberry seeds out of China could face execution. This monopoly made China incredibly wealthy and led to the creation of the famous Silk Road, connecting the East and West through trade. Long before Galileo pointed his telescope to the heavens, ancient Chinese astronomers were meticulously mapping the cosmos. They were true pioneers of the night sky. For thousands of years, they kept detailed records of celestial events, including solar and lunar eclipses, comets which they called broom stars, and even supernovas. In fact, Chinese astronomers recorded a guest star in 1054 AD, which we now know was the supernova that created the Crab Nebula. Their advanced understanding of astronomy was crucial for creating accurate calendars, which were vital for agriculture and for the emperor to maintain his mandate of heaven. Now for a discovery that shocked the world in the 20th century. Imagine being a farmer, digging a well, and stumbling upon an entire army made of clay. That's exactly what happened in 1974, leading to the unearthing of the Terracotta Army. This subterranean legion consists of over 8,000 life-sized soldiers, 130 chariots, and 670 horses, all built to protect China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the afterlife. What's truly mind-boggling is that every single soldier has a unique face, hairstyle, and expression. It's an incredible testament to the power and ambition of one ruler who wanted to continue his reign even after death. How did ancient people communicate with the gods or predict the future? In China, one method involved oracle bones. These were typically turtle shells or ox shoulder blades used for divination during the Shang dynasty. A question would be carved onto the bone, which was then heated with a hot poker until it cracked. The diviner, often the king himself, would interpret the pattern of the cracks to find the answer to his question. These inscriptions are the earliest known form of Chinese writing, giving us a direct window into the concerns and beliefs of a civilization from over 3,000 years ago. Let's talk about an invention that literally went off with a bang: gunpowder. But its original purpose might surprise you. Chinese alchemists in the 9th century weren't trying to create weapons. They were searching for an elixir of immortality. While mixing sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter, they accidentally created a powder that would burn explosively. For a while, this fire drug was used for spiritual purposes, like scaring away evil spirits during festivals, and even in medicine. It wasn't until centuries later that its military potential was fully realized, leading to the development of firearms and forever changing the face of warfare. Next, we visit one of the most majestic and mysterious places on Earth, the Forbidden City in Beijing. This sprawling palace complex was the heart of Imperial China for 500 years. It's said to have an incredible 9,999 rooms. Why that specific number? Because in Chinese culture, the number 9 is a homophone for everlasting and symbolized ultimate power and eternity. Only the Jade Emperor in heaven was believed to have a palace of 10,000 rooms. So, as the Son of Heaven, the Chinese emperor built his palace with just one room less to show his place in the celestial hierarchy. And finally, the fact that puts everything into perspective. We often talk about ancient Rome or Greece, but China holds a truly unique title. It is one of the world's oldest continuous civilizations. While dynasties rose and fell, the core culture, language, and identity have endured for an astonishing length of time. We have written records from China that date back over 3,500 years, tracing an unbroken line from the Shang dynasty all the way to the present day. Let's dive straight back in with fact number 11. Ancient Chinese society had a very clear structure. It was divided into 4 main classes. At the bottom were the peasants, who worked the land. Then came the artisans, who were the skilled craftsmen. Above them were the merchants, who handled trade and commerce. And at the very top, you had the nobles and officials, who held the power and wealth. This hierarchy shaped everyone's life, from their job to their social status. Coming in at number 12, Confucianism wasn't just a philosophy. It was the backbone of ancient Chinese society. Its teachings, which focused on respect for elders, family loyalty, and personal morality, heavily influenced everything from the legal system and government ethics to how children were educated. It was all about creating an orderly and harmonious society where everyone knew their place and fulfilled their duties. Fact 13 introduces another major influence, Taoism. While Confucianism focused on social order, Taoism emphasized living in harmony with the Tao, or the way the natural flow of the universe. It encouraged a simpler life, connecting with nature and finding balance within yourself. Think of it as the spiritual yin to Confucianism's practical yang. Speaking of which, fact number 14 is all about yin and yang. You've probably seen the symbol, but what does it mean? It represents the idea of dualism and balance. Yin is the passive, dark, feminine force, while yang is the active, bright, masculine force. Ancient Chinese belief held that these two opposing yet complementary forces are present in everything, and keeping them in balance was essential for health, harmony, and prosperity. For fact 15, let's talk about family. Ancestor worship was a huge part of daily life. Families believed that the spirits of their ancestors continued to exist and could influence the fortune of the living. They would make offerings of food and burn incense at family altars to honor their ancestors, seek their guidance, and ask for their blessings. It was a powerful way to maintain a connection between generations, past and present. Fact 16 is about how they kept track of time. Ancient China didn't use the calendar we use today. They had a lunar solar calendar, which is based on both the cycles of the moon and the Earth's orbit around the sun. This is why the date for Chinese New Year changes every year. This ancient calendar is still incredibly important today, as it determines the dates for many traditional festivals, like the Dragon Boat Festival and the Mid-Autumn Festival. Now, for a fact you can enjoy every day. Number 17. Tea drinking originated in China, but it wasn't always the popular social beverage it is today. Initially, tea leaves were used for their medicinal properties. Legend says the Emperor Shen Nong discovered it around 2737 BC, when some leaves from a tea plant blew into his pot of boiling water. From a health tonic to a global phenomenon, we have ancient China to thank for our daily cup. Let's move on to fact 18, the secret of silk. For centuries, silk was one of China's most prized and guarded treasures. It was a luxurious fabric worn by emperors and the nobility. The process of sericulture, raising silkworms and harvesting their cocoons to make thread, was a state secret. Anyone caught smuggling silkworms or their eggs out of the country could face the death penalty. It was the original luxury export. At number 19, we have another famous Chinese export, porcelain, so fine that it became known simply as China, while pottery had been made for thousands of years. It was during the Tang and Song dynasties that artisans perfected the techniques to create this strong, beautiful, and translucent ceramic. It became highly sought after around the world, another testament to the incredible craftsmanship of ancient China. And finally, for fact number 20, let's talk about the sounds of ancient China. Music was an essential part of court life, religious rituals, and personal entertainment. They developed unique and beautiful instruments. The guqin, a quiet 7-stringed zither, was favored by scholars for meditation and self-cultivation. The pipa, a pear-shaped lute, was known for its dramatic and expressive range. These instruments created a soundscape that was distinctly Chinese and continues to enchant listeners today. Did you know paper, something we use every day, was invented way back around 105 AD by a court official named Tsi Lun? Before that, people wrote on bamboo, silk, or even turtle shells. Imagine trying to carry your school books if they were made of bamboo. This incredible invention completely changed how information was recorded and shared, laying the groundwork for so many other advancements. Speaking of sharing information, let's talk about printing. Long before Gutenberg and his press in Europe, the Chinese were already printing during the Tang dynasty using a method called woodblock printing. They would carve entire pages of text and images onto a wooden block, ink it up, and then press it onto paper. It was like a giant handcrafted stamp. This allowed them to mass-produce books, calendars, and religious texts, making knowledge accessible to more people than ever before. Now, for something with a bit more bang, gunpowder. You might think it was created for warfare, but its first use was actually for spiritual rituals. Taoist alchemists were trying to create an elixir of immortality, and they accidentally stumbled upon this explosive mixture of saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur. They used it in fireworks to scare away evil spirits during festivals. It was only later that its military potential was realized, forever changing the face of conflict. Ever wondered how sailors navigated the vast oceans before GPS? For that, you can thank the ancient Chinese for inventing the compass. Originally developed during the Han Dynasty, it wasn't for sailing at first. It was a divining tool used in feng shui to harmonize environments. The device used a lodestone, a naturally magnetized iron ore, that would always point south. Eventually, its true navigational genius was recognized, opening up the world's oceans for exploration and trade. Long before European astronomers were gazing at the stars, Chinese skywatchers were meticulously documenting the heavens. For centuries, they kept detailed records of cosmic events like comets, solar and lunar eclipses, and even supernovas, exploding stars. Their observations were so precise that modern astronomers still refer to these ancient records to study how the universe has changed over time. They created some of the earliest and most comprehensive star maps known to humanity. Let's shift from the cosmos to the human body. Have you ever heard of acupuncture? This medical practice, which involves inserting tiny needles into specific points on the body, was developed in China thousands of years ago. It's based on the concept of qi, or life energy, flowing through pathways called acupoints. By stimulating these points, practitioners believed they could rebalance the body's energy flow to treat various ailments and relieve pain. It's a practice still used all over the world today. The ancient Chinese were also master metallurgists. During the Zhou dynasty, their iron smelting technology advanced incredibly quickly. They developed blast furnaces capable of reaching high temperatures, allowing them to produce cast iron. This was centuries before the same techniques were developed in Europe. This strong, versatile metal was used to create more effective farming tools, leading to bigger harvests, as well as stronger weapons and everyday objects. Imagine being able to detect an earthquake from hundreds of miles away, almost 2,000 years ago. That's exactly what a brilliant inventor named Zheng did in 132 AD when he created the world's first seismograph. His device was a beautiful bronze vessel with dragon heads around the outside, each holding a small bronze ball. When an earthquake occurred, a mechanism inside would cause one of the dragons to drop its ball into the mouth of a toad statue below, indicating the direction of the tremor. With a massive population to feed, managing water was crucial for ancient China. Their engineers were absolute geniuses when it came to hydraulics. They designed and built massive, intricate irrigation systems and canals, like the Dujiangyan system, which is still in use today after more than 2,200 years. These projects diverted rivers to prevent floods and water vast areas of farmland, ensuring stable food supplies and allowing their civilization to flourish. Finally, let's crunch some numbers. Ancient Chinese mathematicians were far ahead of their time. They were among the first to understand and use negative numbers, which they represented with different colored counting rods. They also made significant strides in algebra, geometry, and solving complex equations. Their work, like the 9 chapters on the mathematical art, became a foundational text that influenced mathematics throughout East Asia for centuries. Fact 31. The year is 221 BC. After centuries of warring states, one dynasty rises above them all. The Qin dynasty, under the legendary Qin Shi Huang, achieves what was once thought impossible: the unification of China. This monumental event didn't just happen by chance. It was the result of ruthless efficiency, strategic genius, and an unstoppable military machine. The Qin set the stage for a unified empire that would shape the course of history for millennia. Imagine the sheer scale of that achievement, bringing together vast, diverse territories under a single banner for the first time. Fact 32, speaking of the Qin, you can't talk about their power without mentioning the Terracotta Army. This subterranean legion of thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, horses, and chariots is more than just a breathtaking art installation. It's a perfect snapshot of the Qin military's incredible organization. Each soldier has a unique face, and they're arranged in precise battle formations. This tells us everything about their military hierarchy, their advanced logistics, and their strategic thinking. It's a silent army that speaks volumes about the power that conquered a nation. Fact 33. Let's rewind a bit to the Shang and Zhou periods. What was the tank of the ancient world? The chariot. These two-wheeled, horse-drawn vehicles were the ultimate status symbol and a decisive weapon on the battlefield. Commanded by nobles, a chariot charge could break enemy lines and create chaos. They were fast, intimidating, and represented the pinnacle of Bronze Age military technology. Warfare wasn't just about infantry. It was about the thunderous sound of hooves and wheels dominating the plains. Fact 34. Then came a game-changer, the crossbow, first appearing in ancient China. This weapon completely revolutionized warfare. Why was it so special? It was easier to use than a traditional bow, required less training, and its bolts could pierce armor with deadly force. This allowed armies to field massive numbers of effective missile troops, creating devastating volleys that could stop enemy charges in their tracks. The crossbow was a marvel of engineering and a testament to ancient China's innovative spirit in military tactics. Fact 35. As warfare evolved, so did the role of the horse. During the Han Dynasty, cavalry became increasingly important. Facing highly mobile nomadic horsemen from the north, the Han realized they needed to fight fire with fire. They developed their own powerful cavalry forces, breeding stronger horses and equipping riders with effective weapons like long lances and sabers. This shift from chariot-based armies to flexible cavalry units allowed the Han to project power deep into Central Asia and secure the famous Silk Road. Fact 36, of course, we have to talk about the most iconic military structure in the world, the Great Wall. While not a single continuous wall, as often imagined, it was a massive system of fortifications, watchtowers, and garrisons built over centuries. Its primary purpose was to defend the agricultural heartland of China from nomadic invasions. It was a monumental feat of engineering and human labor. A clear line drawn in the sand that said, "This far and no further." It symbolizes both China's immense power and its persistent struggle with its northern neighbors. Fact 37. But not all battles were fought on land. Ancient China's great rivers, like the Yangtze and the Yellow River, were also crucial strategic zones. Naval technology saw incredible advancements. Imagine large paddle wheel boats, powered by men turning a crank, moving against the current like steamboats, centuries before steam power. They built floating fortresses and developed sophisticated riverine defense strategies. Controlling the waterways meant controlling trade, transportation, and a vital flank in any military campaign. Fact 38. How do you coordinate vast armies across huge distances without radios? Ancient China developed a brilliant and effective system: signal fires and smoke. From towers along the Great Wall and other high points, soldiers could transmit messages with incredible speed. A column of smoke by day, or a bright fire by night, could signal an enemy approach, a call for reinforcements, or other urgent news. This ancient Internet of smoke signals was a simple but highly effective form of battlefield communication. Fact 39. The strength of an army often comes down to its equipment. The Han military was a force to be reckoned with, thanks in large part to their mastery of iron. Soldiers were protected by durable iron armor, from lamellar plates sewn together to full protective suits. They wielded sharp, strong iron swords, a significant upgrade from bronze, and long iron-tipped spears. This widespread use of high-quality iron gave them a distinct advantage in close-quarters combat and was a key factor in their military success. Fact 40. Finally, while the military was a male-dominated world, it wasn't exclusively so. Women occasionally wielded immense influence and power. The most famous example is Empress Wu Zetian, the only woman to ever rule China in her own right. Though her path to power was through the court, she commanded the military and directed state policy with an iron will, proving that in ancient China, power wasn't always determined by gender. Ooh, figures like her challenge our simple perceptions of history and show the complex realities of military and political influence. Now, we're diving into perhaps the most fascinating aspect: its incredible legacy and global impact. How did this ancient civilization shape the world we live in today? Let's find out. It all starts with the legendary Silk Road. This wasn't just a trade route for silk and spices. It was a superhighway for ideas, cultures, and religions. Buddhism, for example, traveled from India to China along these very paths, transforming the spiritual landscape of East Asia forever. It was the world's first great melting pot of cultures. But China wasn't just receiving ideas, it was exporting world-changing inventions. Think about your daily life. Do you use paper? That's a Chinese invention. The explosive power of gunpowder, that's from China too. And the ability to print books and spread knowledge on a mass scale. You guessed it, another gift from ancient China. These three innovations alone completely reshaped the course of global history. The influence didn't stop with technology. Chinese philosophy, with thinkers like Confucius and Laozi, provided a moral and ethical framework that deeply influenced societies across East Asia for centuries. These philosophical systems shaped everything from family values to government structures, and their wisdom still resonates today. And what about health? Traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, with its concepts of qi yin and yang, acupuncture, and herbal remedies, is a sophisticated system of healing that's thousands of years old. Even now, it's practiced and respected by millions of people all over the globe, often alongside modern medicine. Artistically, ancient China gave us calligraphy. This wasn't just writing, it was considered one of the highest art forms, a spiritual practice that expressed the artist's inner character. The beauty and discipline of calligraphy have been admired and imitated for centuries. Politically, the dynastic system of China, with its sophisticated bureaucracy and the concept of the mandate of heaven, served as a model for governance in neighboring countries like Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. The structures and administrative ideas born in ancient China had a reaching impact on how a huge portion of the world was ruled. And of course, we can't forget the celebrations. Vibrant festivals like the Lunar New Year, with its dragon dances and red envelopes, and the Mid-Autumn Festival, with its beautiful lanterns and mooncakes, are now celebrated by communities worldwide. These traditions carry the spirit and joy of ancient Chinese culture across continents. Even the aesthetics of ancient China have left their mark. The serene and deliberate design of Chinese gardens meant to be a spiritual retreat, and the unique elegance of its architecture, with those iconic curved roofs, have inspired architects and designers across the globe for generations. Ever wonder why we call fine porcelain China? It's a direct linguistic link back to its source. Many words we use today for items like tea and silk also have roots in the Chinese language, a constant, subtle reminder of this civilization's profound impact on global trade and culture. From the philosophies we study to the paper we write on, ancient China's enduring culture isn't just a thing of the past. It's a living, breathing force that continues to shape our modern world in countless, extraordinary ways. Which fact about ancient China amazed you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more fascinating history, science, and culture videos every day. Thanks for watching.